Monday, November 6th, and the Dome Foamers podcast is back. I'm your host, Christian Kruger, and as always, I'm with Neil Mieski and Brian Dorton. And we're just lifelong Astros fans that love to talk about the Astros. So, boys, let's go. All right, episode 28, and we've had plenty of half and three-quarter episodes during the season. I just wanted y'all to know that I made notation introduction. This is November 6th. We started this podcast May 1st. It's already November and almost turkey season. Crazy. It flies.
Man.
This is episode 28. We are going to discuss some of the managerial situations and decision-making that's going on, talk a few free agents by the Astros, and then we're going to transition into college football. And we're not leaving the Astros. As news breaks throughout the couple weeks and the next month or so, we'll always have podcasts about that. But just wanted to y'all to understand that we're going to talk a little Astros, and then we're going to transition to some college football that we love. But before we do that, we want to thank Two Gringos Chupacabra as our title sponsor, and you can check them out at their website at Two Gringos Chupacabra. That is the number 2 gringoschupacabra.com and your local grocery stores. However, we would prefer you go online and use the code DOME15. You'll get 15% off of all of your orders coming through the Two Gringos Chupacabra website using DOME15. And again, every week, the people at Two Gringos Chupacabra are sending out these fan favorite packs. We've sent them out 2 weeks. The 2 winners have absolutely loved that they get it shipped directly to them. Really cool deal. It's got 5 different season all-in rubs. So we'll do a little contest tomorrow on our social medias. So please like, share, rate, and review on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and everything else we got going on. So thanks to them. Boys, it is clear that some teams do not need a stall to make a managerial hire, as the Cubs fired theirs and hired Craig Counsell the same day today.
Yeah, they pulled that trigger.
The Mets hired Yankees bench coach Carlos Mendoza. Don't know a whole lot about him. Frankly, don't really care. Any thoughts before we dive into this position that's open for our beloved Astros?
I sure wish we would pull the trigger on this sooner than later.
Me too.
Don't understand what the holdup is here. Well, yeah, I think I understand what the holdup is, but
yeah, I was gonna say I think that's the sign. And you know, we're all hoping it's Espada, but there's no guarantee that Espada is the best. We just feel like we know him the best. Feel better about, a guy that's been in the mix the last 7 years plus.
Yeah,
I just think he's a guy that we're familiar with and more comfortable with. And when you go outside, it's a roll of the dice. So
yeah, I mean, I would have loved. We talked about this last week. I would have loved Counsell. I mean, I think he would have been incredible here. But we had no shot at him. None.
No. Reports are obviously out there, and we say this on every podcast. You got to take them with a grain of salt. Who knows what's really leaking, what's true? Reports are out there that Dana Brown's pushing for Espada. Not really surprised by that. And Crane is wanting a bigger name. So I don't know who that is at this point. Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know what that means at this point.
I don't either. I do think it's funny, and I do not want to go down the Dusty rabbit hole, but I think it's funny that it's also been out there that Dusty made his decision because of media and bloggers and the Dome Foamers podcast. Not happy with his managerial style, so he was done with it.
Fine.
What?
You know what? I feel as though we did our part.
I do too. So I want to thank you, Brian, and I want to thank you, Neil.
So this is the thanks that he was talking about.
Exactly.
Oh.
These are the thank yous.
For doing your part as part of the Dome Foamers, as getting Dusty to the point where he said, "I'm done."
No kidding.
You know what? He might be smarter than we think. If the thank yous are us congratulating and thanking ourselves for getting him to retire, then yeah, way to go, man. Good job.
What a soft excuse.
Yeah. If a bunch of slaps writing Twitter responses and three guys who like talking about the Astros criticize you, and that is your reason, that's your public reason for hanging it all up. Yeah, it's soft. That's real soft.
I'm just glad he's gone, and I'm forever going to credit us for the ones that brought it to light and that we did it.
You bet.
Let's talk free agent. Let's talk free agents for a second, because we're not going to have numbers on what is available. I think free agents can start signing tonight.
I think so.
I think that's important. We're not going to know our numbers till they do the arbitration for Valdez, Tucker, Urquidy, and a couple others. There's a couple of names out there that at least spark my interest. Again, let me get back real quick to the stuff that gets put out on social media. This Japanese pitcher that was posted today, who I have watched video because I like watching stud prospects, stud players. I mean, he's
Yamamoto,
son. Mm-hmm. He is a freak. They project him. Projection. Let's use that word, projection, to be better on the hill than Ohtani. Now, obviously, he's just going to be a pitcher. So, Ohtani's obviously not pitching anytime soon anymore, but, obviously Ohtani's bat is unreal. I saw someone posted that the Astros should go after him. That would be great. We can't afford him. Okay. So throw that out there. I'm assuming he's going to get north of $200 million. I don't know, but if y'all haven't watched his videos, they're pretty cool. I mean, his career year, I think he's pitched in the Japanese league, which, by the way, is a pretty competitive league, for 7 years. And I think his ERA is around 1.72.
So why is he not going to hit as well?
Oh, I don't think he is a hitter. I think he's straight pitcher.
I thought I read something to where he was
and if
the
he
Triple
is,
Crown type of guy.
Well, if he is, he's just not. I don't think he's a major league bat.
Gotcha.
But I mean, I all I've done is watch videos on him just to see his stuff. But no, he's strictly coming over here as a pitcher. So throw that out. That'll be interesting to see where he lands. Josh Hader's a free agent. I don't know what he would cost. I would definitely knock on that door just to see. Maybe you can get creative with a contract. He would help a lot of our bullpen issues being a lefty. He was drafted by the Astros.
Yep.
I mean, but he's nasty. You can tag team him with Abreu and Presley. There's stuff out there saying the Astros at the deadline were interested in Alex Verdugo.
All that.
I mean, he's a quality he's a quality hitter, but he's not worth any contract that he's going to get. Definitely not for the Astros. He's not worth going over the luxury tax for, is my point. So right. I don't know how that would work.
Not that we would.
Right.
No chance.
So it doesn't matter.
No chance.
Well, I mean, I say this on Twitter and Facebook and other things that we're part of. Neil's seen me say it, like, until the Astros go over luxury tax, I'm not going to say they ever are. I have to see it to believe it. And I'm not saying it's not I mean, like, I'm good with it. Now, Yamamoto, hey, I mean, I might go to luxury tax for that guy.
Right.
But I just don't believe the Astros are going to go over it unless it's just, I mean, I don't even know who it would be. So.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to go over the luxury tax, right? There's a handful that can afford it and not care. Obviously, the Yankees and those Dodgers and those types, but we're still not a big market per se. And Jim Crane, I mean, I get it, but I wouldn't be surprised. And we talked about this about a trade. I mean, there's going to be guys that are on our 40-man roster that will not be here at the start of the season.
I don't want to
And
rehash. I don't want to. I don't rehash too
yeah,
much of last week. But Myers is going to get traded for a bullpen piece.
Yeah, I think you're right
sure.
there.
I mean, and so some of these. I mean, anything's on the table. Anybody's on the table, reasonably. But I mean, I still think starting pitching is something you can always go get. And we've got enough guys that are tweeners right now that can spend some time in the bullpen. But Cody Bellinger, you hear things like that. There's just, first of all, don't want them. Second of all, just not going to happen.
Never would happen.
Blake Snell's another big arm that's out there that I think is interesting.
I would love him, but we're just not. Yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
this is not going to happen.
No, I mean, again, there has to be so many pieces moved around, or you're going over the luxury tax. And so, I mean, there's just a lot of, Solar. I heard, people go get Solar. Well, of course, that'd be great. That would be, but I mean, that guy's going to be a fortune. So
I had somebody
there's a couple more out there.
I had somebody say that we have $35 to $40 million of room on Facebook. Come after me. I don't see it now. Now I need to clarify what I did last week was if we're maxing out our arbitration cases, which if there's two players that could definitely get maxed out, it's going to be Fromber and Kyle Tucker. They've earned it. But I could see us having maybe 20 million. I don't know, man. And we won't know till all that's settled. But the problem with all that is free agents are signing as of tonight. So yeah, I mean, the Astros are basically
sticking.
Well, that and they need it. I mean, I guarantee you they know what they have room wise better than we do, and based on projections. But still, it ain't a lot. Right. Neil, you brought up Snell. I would love that. Not going to happen. Hader. Look, I brought up Hader.
Right.
I mean, I would love Hader. Not going to happen unless, like you said, moving pieces. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it just the fans out there say, well, why don't we go get so and so? I mean, yeah, and I understand that. That's just the fan. And when you actually understand the pieces to the puzzle, that's a whole different deal. I mean, it's not our checkbooks.
Yeah.
And Verlander would have never happened if the Mets didn't kick in $26 million for just this year and 17 for next. It would have never happened.
Right. So I mean, it's not a deal to where, they're out there, go buy them. It's definitely not that easy.
Well, let's just go get Shohei. We'll go get Shohei as well while we're at it.
Yeah.
Might as well. I know how much the three of us love Bellinger. We're going to even hate him more because I think he's going to end up as a Yankee.
Perfect fit.
That's my prediction.
Yeah. That's fine.
So, anything else do we want to discuss real quick on the Astros before we move on to Neil's segment, and then we kind of transition over to the world of college football?
No, let's hear what.
Well, Dorton, who do you think's gonna be the manager?
I think it's gonna be Espada.
Okay, Neil.
Espada.
I think it'd already been Espada if it was Espada. I think Crane's working on somebody else. I hope you two, considering what's going on right now, I hope you two guys are right, but I don't trust Crane. I think it's going to be someone else.
Crane and Bagwell, you mean?
That's correct.
Yeah, Bagwell.
Yeah.
That is correct. Okay, there we go. So we're doing throwback player of the week for Neil's segment because he's going to do a little early, and we have our great sponsors at Victoria Equipment Auction who sponsor this segment. Neil, we do not know. Neil says he's got a little surprise for us. So real quick, Victoria Equipment Auction is their number one goal is to get you the best price for your equipment in a hassle-free and professional manner. Whether you're a part of a large corporation looking to clear old equipment out of your inventory or an individual interested in selling a single piece, Victoria Equipment Auction is ready to go to work for you. Just drop it off and they will take care of the rest. You can call Clay at 361-935-2444. Get on equipmentauction.com. Kenny and Kevin Griffin have been great help sponsors to our podcast, and their next auction is December 2nd, and they will take care of anything and everything for you. The good people there. So please reach out to Victoria Equipment Auction and give them a call. So Neil, the throwback player of the week is?
It's a guy that played one season at the rookie level for the Houston Astros and then started his career as a coach with the Houston Astros in 1978.
I tried to
spanned for 36 years, ending in 2012.
Art Howe.
No, sir. Coached with the Astros for 36 years.
What position?
It ended in 2012.
From 1978.
Stretch Suba?
Suba.
Stretch Suba.
That's what I was going with. With what position are we talking about here? Are we talking catcher? Are we talking bullpen?
Yes, sir. He was the bullpen coach for 36 years.
Oh, that's
he
incredible.
needs to be in the Hall of Honor.
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know
that's hilarious.
That long. I mean, he was there when he was a old timer, Astros old timer when we were in high school.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And he stayed until 2012.
So when Bo Porter came on as the manager, Jeff Lunau said,
"Don't remind me of Bo Porter."
Yes, but it was our guy, Lunau, that said, "Kick rocks." So
his knees probably needed a rest.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
That's funny.
But can you imagine this? I mean, can you imagine sitting down with Stretch Suba and spending, I mean, probably 5 minutes? He could probably just tear our guts up laughing with some of the stories over 36 years in a bullpen.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Wow. Man.
So
that's cool.
He's retired and still in the Houston area is basically what I could find on him. Believe it or not, there's not a million articles about Stretch Suba somehow.
That's interesting.
But
where was he originally from?
Have no idea. He's like the best kept secret ever.
That's awesome. Good for him.
So, man,
yep.
The guy has
in the minors.
If anyone out there has any connections with Stretch, we would love a connection.
Oh my gosh,
that would be.
The guys caught bullpen sessions of Nolan Ryan, Mike Scott, J.R. Richard, Mike Hampton, Roy Oswalt, Shane Reynolds, Bob Nepper, Jim DeShays. I mean, Dave Smith, Billy Wagner.
I mean, good grief!
Wow!
I'm telling you, would love to just sit down with him and pick that brain for 5 minutes.
Yeah. No doubt. That's a good one.
Which would turn into five hours, which we also, for many years back in our playing days, was Dorton's nickname.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we referred to him as old Stretch Suba Dorton.
So. Dorton had a better arm.
I doubt that very much.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
The nickname did not come from my my tall, slender appearance. It was more spending more time in a bullpen than on the field.
Coach would
I'll never forget.
one state.
I've got to say this story. I'll never forget this. Jordan called me in a bullpen at Riverside Stadium, and I remember one time we go down there because I mean that was he did that with all of us warming up, and we get down there, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go in and pitch whatever, while we're hitting, and Jordan goes, hey man, is it okay if I roll it back? My arm kind of hurts. I was like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably had some sort of had Tommy John going on somewhere in there.
Yes.
All right, we could tell those stories forever. Some people are gonna enjoy that, but that's a good one. Yeah, I'm gonna think about that for a couple of days. That's good. All right, we're gonna transition over to college football, and we're college football fans of the sport. We're fans of the fact that it's finally expanding next year, the playoff. Boy, Jordan and I had this conversation this weekend as we saw each other. What a great year to be a 12-team playoff, and that's not going to happen.
No,
and we'll get into that.
This would have been awesome. And
incredible.
And we even said it, like next year, it's going to be like 4 undefeated teams, and everyone else is going to be like 5 losses.
Yeah,
it's not even going to be close.
Yeah, so Dorton brought some of his buddies from the Houston area who I've met before, good old Aggies with him. And so we had some Aggies, Longhorns, and college football discussions over some adult beverages. And, I want Dorton obviously to talk about A&M and just what they're doing. So Dorton, with the loss to Ole Miss, the Aggies go to fall to 5-4. I watched some of that game with you. It started off horrible for the Aggies, then they fought all the way back, took the lead, played really well in the second half. Could have definitely won and could have beat the troll of Lane Kiffin, but they didn't.
They did not.
What? Not only as a fan and someone that is a super fan, but what are they going to do with this contract that oversees the entire situation there in College Station?
So there's no question as to the talent that's on the team. There's no question as to the capabilities. What Neil you sent earlier was almost perfect, right? Like recruiting is such an important part of college football. You see it everywhere. If you get a great recruiting class, you are almost assured to have a pretty good season in the next coming seasons, right? Like it's just there. If you don't, well, what's the disconnect, right? If you're getting the talent and if you're getting the people and you're paying them enough money now, thank you, NIL, you're paying them the correct amount of money and they're not all leaving in droves, what's the disconnect? And to me, I mean, it is the coaching staff. It is whatever is happening behind the scenes that we don't know, whether that is just a full-on lack of leadership on the team, a lack of leadership on the coaching staff. I have no idea, but like there is a huge disconnect there, right? Something has been wrong in College Station and things are the wheels have fallen off, right? So what Max is our QB2 has broken ribs from being slammed on the ground 40 or 50 times because we technically don't have an offensive line. And our running back he tore his ACL or he hurt his knee badly. I don't know. I mean, and I heard today that Jimbo was possibly alluding to Johnson could play this week with broken ribs or with a broken rib, which to me, again, leads to, well, how bad is Henderson at QB3, right? Like how bad is it? And we don't know. But
well, I mean,
doing the eye test, you see it. I mean, like you see it each week. We are in these games. We're not getting blown out. We didn't get blown out by Alabama. We didn't get blown out by Tennessee. We didn't get blown out this weekend. We're not getting blown out. I mean, we're not finishing games. We're not winning games. And we're not making plays when it matters. And I mean, all signs there lead to, it feels like we're being outcoached in every single aspect of the game, except for defense. Our defense is stellar.
But it's clear to me, and I'm asking you this. It's clear to me that if the contract wasn't over looming and the extension, he would already been fired. So what are they going to do? Because look, again, this is just like with the Astros. Okay, the stuff that gets leaked out, half of it's crap, half of it's half crap, and half of it might be right. But I know this as well you do. Obviously, you're the expert on this subject. A&M boosters can write a check tomorrow and make that go away. Okay, it's not about the money; it's about the
isn't
optics.
A money thing. Yeah, this isn't a money thing.
No, it's not, because they absolutely can have it done. But it is about the optics of it. And if you're going to hire the next guy, what is preventing the next guy saying, I want a guaranteed contract for 10 years, 75 million. Yeah. And that's the problem where they're at. Is it's the extension of this mediocrity that they gave after 1 year COVID, where they had a great year, but it was 1 year. But now, let's not talk about the check, because as we said, the check can be written tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's what is going to happen when you try to hire a quality coach who's going to say, oh, you want to try to go cheap with me? I don't think so, because you just wrote $75 million to Jimbo and his staff. Yeah. And that's the issue, is what are they going to do there? Because from me looking on, oh my God, I mean, they need to change 2-3 years ago. Because it's the same thing going on.
Yeah. The answer to that is you're going to have to find somebody who's ready and eager to come in here and win a championship. And that's all there is to it. And instead of taking your 10-year, $75 million, you'll be fine with the 5-year, $20 million contract.
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I think that it's gonna have to. That's what I feel.
Well, I mean, that's why there's agents, and I mean, anyone with a grain of salt in the coaching world is going to either use A&M as leverage, or they're going to say, "Pay me. You just did it. Pay me." Neil, you got any takes?
Maybe we just pay him. I don't know. I mean, again, money is not. There's the rub. Money is not the issue here.
No,
it is the optics. You're right, but you know what? And if it takes bringing in, I have no clue who that person is at this point. No idea. But if it is that, if someone finds that right person, maybe it is. Yeah, you got it. Right.
Yeah.
Write a number down, and we'll go find it.
Well, there's two things in my mind specifically. Number one, the Aggies do have injuries, right? I mean, and Brian, you were hitting on them.
Everyone has injuries.
Yeah.
No doubt. And so, you've got the Johnson kid. That's the quarterback now. Well, he wasn't the starter,
right?
And anytime you
Connor's
lose,
out.
Yeah. So anytime you lose your starting quarterback, I don't care what level. I mean, you're maybe the elites, right? And this just goes to show that A&M is not the elite. right? And there's very few that are the elite. But I just think that when you have the number of injuries that you're talking about, Brian, to turn around and say that it's the coach's fault, I just don't always say that that's necessarily the answer. Now, I understand the landscape of college football. When Jimbo signed up for this, he knew how this can go, right? He's either going to be the king or he's going to be the GOAT, and it's going to be, either way, he's going to be rich off of this deal. Have not met expectations, obviously, right? And I agree, without a doubt, that A&M can write the check and they can disappear, which leads me to my second point, which you were basically hitting on there at the end. Who else are you going to get?
I have no idea.
Right? I mean, and so you better have answers to the problems that you've got. It doesn't mean sit on your hands and just wait for somebody to come knocking on your door, but is there a problem in A&M? I'd say the main problem is 2024, where Oklahoma and Texas are coming into your conference, and you're now having to really recruit against not only in state again, but in conference. And that's the look for Aggie fans that they just can't lose out on. I mean, that's going to be
that is a great. Well, no, that's a great point
at this point. We've had
oh, it matters.
The top. We've had the top recruiting.
Yes,
class.
Right. No, we talked about this earlier.
We can't do S with it now.
Right.
Well, a lot of those guys are still there. A lot of those guys are still there. A lot of those guys left. I mean,
some of them left. Most of them are still here.
Sure, but I can name 6, 7 of them that are gone that were bad seeds. That's a story for another day. But I mean, you are right. That was one of the highest ranked recruiting classes of all time. But Neil brings up a great point. Like, it's horrible timing, because you have Texas coming in, who you're going to play. You have OU coming in, who's going to always recruit against you, especially regionally, as Neil brought up. You got LSU, you got Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State, like a cherry pick. I mean, my point getting to is, I wonder what they're going to do at the end of the year.
Me too.
And part of me is rip the Band-Aid off, pay the money, find whoever you want to get. But now you're talking about transition with the team in Austin coming. That's not ideal. Or you suck up another year of this absolute Jimbo stuff, and the same thing's going to happen. You're not stopping the Texas and OU trains coming. And that's been A&M's largest feather in their cap for the last 10 years is, well, we play in the SEC. Look at all the NFL players that make it through the NFL from the SEC. From the SEC, that's been their recruiting leverage. It has, and that leverage is gone as of last year, when that's what those two teams were using as we're coming, right? If you had to bet on it before we transition to the Horns and we've transitioned to playoff scenarios, if you had to bet on it, is he coaching at A&M in 2024?
Jimbo, yeah. If I put money on it, he is.
I think so too. I really do. I think so too. Yes. I think this is oddly weird. I think the game against Texas either will get him fired or buy him another year, unless they're 3-9 or 3-8 at the time or whatever. But I think the game in Kyle Field against the Horns gets him fired the next day or buys him another year of 2025.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Now they, this weekend they play Mississippi State at home. What if that goes wrong?
Then he's done.
I think if we lose, my God, even after
Mississippi State's bad
with a broken quarterback, without our top rushing without our top rusher at the moment, we're still 17-point favorites right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Vegas still has us at -17. I mean, if we go in there and lay a goose or just, if we go in there and keep it close, that's not good. If we go in there and lose, I think all bets are off.
Agreed. And I don't think they're going to.
I mean,
that defensive line is too
mean,
talented. That defensive line is too talented. Mississippi State is bad.
I mean, Brian English
don't
said
think
this.
so
English
either.
said this today, and I agree. It was at this point, go in there and just take a knee as an offense, and we'll let our defense score some points and win the game for us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you gotta do.
Anything? Go ahead, Neil.
I was just saying it's a big win, obviously, because that'll put them at the 6, and then finish off with the mighty Abilene Christians coming in, and then going on the road at LSU. That'll be
that'll be fine.
for sure.
No, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
we're pretty good on the road, so
clearly.
Anything else before we transition and then we go to scenarios?
Anything
you want to add, Jordan?
No. I don't even want to talk about them anymore.
All right. Horns, 8-1. We're absolutely dominating the game with their backup quarterback, who is not good. I'll just say that. Again, second game, but still, oh my gosh. They were without their right tackle, and their left tackle left in injury. I mean, college football is almost like a bloodbath now. It's like what players survived during the game? It's crazy. They do move to 8-1. Then they absolutely choked it off in the second half against Kansas State. And I don't know, in all of my Rolodex of games that I've either been to or watched, I had this conversation with a buddy today. I don't know if I've ever seen a game that the Horns were absolutely dominating, physically dominating, that they should have lost. Thank you, Chris Kleiman, for your moronic decision.
I still like that game. I don't understand it one bit, because you're right. It was absolutely dominated by the Horns, like no question. And then a couple of big key plays.
Turnovers. You can't turn over, man.
Huge key plays. And they kept ball control. They put it into overtime. And what are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't know.
I mean,
you have a backup quarterback who's struggling.
I could not believe that.
You have an offense who's struggling in the red zone. Well, you started at 25 in overtime. So, I mean, it's like check. I'm going to go ahead. For those that don't understand what we're talking about, it was 30-30 at the end of overtime. Texas got the ball first, got stopped, had to kick a field goal, made the field goal, make it 33-30. First play, Kansas State has the ball. They throw like a 17-yard pass down to like the 7. So it's first and goal. They stuff them first down. I don't remember what happened second down. Third down, they get to the 4. And so Kansas State can kick a field goal from the 4-yard line, make it 33-33, and go into second overtime. Instead, they go for it. And I don't know what that play was.
I don't know. And the play they called, what?
Well, the defensive tackle,
immediately blown up.
Yeah,
immediately blown up.
Byron Murphy blew that play up from the get-go. Like, they were done. And so then he just had to throw the ball up. But Neil, as the only active coach here, what do you think? What was that?
I don't hate it at all. I think
what?
I don't hate the fact that you're on the road. You're 4 yards away from winning, right? Because remember, in the second overtime, you're fixing.
No. This is the first overtime.
This is the first overtime.
I know that. What happens in the second one?
Same. It's the third overtime that you go for 2.
But who gets the ball first?
Kansas State.
Who has the advantage?
Not Texas with their quarterback in the red zone offense.
No. I think it was a badass call, because when it was fourth down, what did every Texas Longhorn fan do? Oh, what do they? No, just kick it. Just kick it. Please don't do this to me.
I looked.
No,
I was
nobody.
sitting next to our Irishman right there on the screen, and I told him this is either going to be the dumbest decision or the best decision. But but play the odds. You have a backup quarterback against an offense that's struggling in the red zone.
Nah, I think it was badass. I mean,
I
it
think
takes guts.
it was
It
bad.
backfired.
All
It
right.
didn't work. That doesn't mean
I will
mean,
say this. I will still say that was if they scored, I will still say that was dumb. It worked.
No,
That was dumb.
no, it was gutsy. What's the difference of somebody going for two on the road versus kicking the extra point to go to overtime? 1 yard. I mean, they're on the road. They're in Austin. I mean, 4 yards.
Yeah.
I think it's badass. I think it's
4 yards
call.
again. 4 yards against that Texas defensive line
I get
is. I mean, that's you're going against their strength.
You need 4 yards. You have a play that you feel good about. Now, again, everybody. I mean, you critiquing offense is the easiest thing in the world. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. I get that. If Kansas State wins that game in Austin, holy smokes, we're talking big time about the call that he made and what guts it took. And holy smoke, I'm all I'm saying is I don't hate it. I know it didn't work. But you go and kick a field goal, then you turn around and you go back on offense. You still have to face the same Texas defense for 4+ additional plays. Hey, I like the fact of taking my chance here. I mean, and again, maybe there's things. I mean,
they were picking apart the secondary.
I would agree with I would agree with you from the 1 or the 2, but not the 4.
Nah, I think it was. I think it was gutsy.
Yeah. I'm glad he did. I'm glad it worked out. Yeah. So that basically Texas wins out, Oklahoma State wins out, which Bedlam was incredible. I love Mike Gunn so much.
As always, man.
Man.
That game is always going to be.
I'm telling you, I told this to our Aggie over there, Mr. Dorton. It'll never happen because he'll never leave. But you want to talk about a perfect fit. You get that guy in A&M with those resources. Oh, my gosh. That guy would win.
He
but it'll never happen.
Less.
Oh, my gosh. I love him. I love his press conferences. Yes. And if Texas plays him, I'll be scared to death because I've seen him beat Texas so many times. So Texas 8-1, number 7, probably going to be number 7 in the playoff scenario. So that's why I want to transition. I want to transition to that because that's where the real discussion gets. Normally, stuff handles itself out. Normally, but we have an interesting scenario.
Laying over at number 3.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as most know, that Ohio State and Michigan play each other. Most likely, Alabama and Georgia are now going to play each other. You've got Florida State most likely going to play Louisville. Right now, Texas and Oklahoma State are going to play each other. Still, stuff could happen, right? Carnage can happen. And Pac-12 right now would be a rematch of Oregon and Washington, which I think there's going to be some carnage over there. But right now, that's the scenario. I mean, that's the position we're going in. Stuff has gone too weird. There's some carnage going to happen. I don't know what it is.
I mean, I've got my eye on this Utah-Washington game this week.
Sure.
That I'm kind of like,
Where's it at?
It's in Washington. It's in Washington.
That's a game. Obviously, Michigan, Penn State, which we're going to touch on the Michigan stuff here in a minute. I don't think Penn State's that good, but there's a lot of stuff going on in Michigan. They haven't played anybody. They've played nobody. That ought to be an interesting game. Dorton, you asked me this the other night as we were together. What was if Alabama? What was it? If Alabama beats Georgia?
So let's play out a Alabama beats Georgia. Let's do
Alabama's the SEC champion.
Yeah. They're in.
Agreed.
One loss Georgia. We'll talk about them here in a minute.
Okay.
Florida State wins out.
They're in.
Because they're
undefeated.
Correct. Yeah. Washington wins out.
They're undefeated. They're in.
All right. And then Big 12, Texas wins out.
Yeah, well, what happens between the Big Ten? One of those teams.
There's one more.
So one more.
Yeah, Texas is out in that scenario because, that's right. They beat Alabama. 3 undefeateds has that ever happened?
I don't think yet. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But
then Michigan.
Go ahead, Brian.
Let's go through, and Michigan wins out.
Yep.
I mean, but like you mentioned that they might have sanctions coming their way, and I poo-pooed on that after a few beers. However, I mean, I'm reading more and more into that, and the Big Ten even wrote in a letter today. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this with some gusto. If the Big Ten comes down on Michigan, an undefeated Michigan, and they pull them out for, whatever is going on here, the Big Ten needs to go the way of the Pac-12, period. You just all need to explode, because that's the most, you are going to put a sanction on a team that could possibly give you a national championship.
Well, come on, let's be honest. That decision is not going to happen for real until they see what happens between Ohio State and Michigan.
Agreed. Which isn't but it's not for another. That's the last game of the season. That's the 25th.
Still investigating. They may not make the bowl game.
I mean, if the Big Ten.
Well, remember, hold on.
If the Big Ten has completed their investigation before January, it's the biggest bunch of morons. Then what? They're a joke. They are a joke. And
look, all I'm going to say is they are getting pressure from ADs and coaches in the Big Ten Conference to
give me a break. Give me a break.
So
do I feel as though they probably pushed and crossed lines? You bet. If that's true, that old boy was dressed in Central Michigan gear and on the sidelines, if that stuff is true, that might be over the line. But if they're upset at coaches going and scouting and recording and trying to come up with hand signs and decode them, and then telling other opponents about it, sorry.
I don't think that's what they're that's part of the game, as we all have talked about, right?
Well, I think tell me what it is.
It's the extent of purchasing tickets under Michigan money as a Michigan employee to other games, standing on the sidelines, helping Central Michigan decode Michigan State. I mean, like, it's not, we all try to decode. I mean, maybe we try to decode.
I mean,
it's the extent to what they've gone.
I'm not going to name any names or name any programs or anything like that, but I can look at high school ball, and I'm sure that there are high school coaches that go to other high school teams, and I don't know if they come out of pocket to go to those games.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mean they went there and scouted them?
Right.
Holy crap.
Like
What?
when a coach
Michigan
goes to
bought their
another
coaches
team,
some tickets to go to a game to scout them, and
then they
somebody
must
let
be
their.
cheating. They must
Oh
be
my
cheating.
goodness gracious!
It
I'm not
sounds
saying
Oh
I'm
my.
not saying I'm not
to
saying
all
I'm condoning or not. I'm
look,
just saying
it sounds very familiar. It sounds very familiar. Let's just put it that way. As an Astro fan, it all sounds very familiar.
So
And
I'm
shut up.
yeah. I mean, if Michigan goes down for whatever, then there are a ton of colleges going.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No,
Now,
they're fine. No,
I will
Michigan's
say
fine.
this.
Y'all don't.
Should Michigan staff be on the sidelines of other teams in their gear, possibly recording, on their sidelines? No. That is
I said
probably a
this.
step too far.
I did say this in 2017. Well, not 2017 because it came out 2019 with the Astros deal that they said that there was a camera in center field that was relaying to the iPads or whatever. That's what they were recording it to the iPads. I went, every major league team just asked their janitor to go to center field and take that exact camera off out of their stadium.
Smash it.
Yes,
Smash it.
Yes, that is absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
You're telling me,
okay.
Give me.
You're telling me that there's not some graduate assistant that is given a camera and told, "This is what you're doing."
Yes.
And like
100. Listen, Nick, the Lord and Savior Saban, has absolutely at some point every single season sent people to Mississippi, to Texas A&M, to Auburn, to Georgia. And guess what those graduate assistants have done for the Lord and our Savior Saban? Yeah.
they just scouted.
They scouted. Possibly
They
with a
just
camera.
scouted them.
And they scouted.
Well, I'm just telling you, there's film of coaches sending signals stacked with a play. It's just happening.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's just happening.
Yes.
I mean, and so for Michigan to fall on some sort of sword on this is ridiculous. But I mean, they're mad. They're mad.
They're mad because they're good and they're winning. And Kruger, you're right. They haven't played anybody.
They've played no one. That's been the biggest joke.
Well, so I mean,
they played Rutgers closer than Ohio State did.
But so has and I know y'all going to push back on this a little bit, but and I like these guys, but Florida State.
I agree. No, I'm not pushing back. I agree with you.
I mean,
and here's why I agree. Here's why I agree with you. Is I think unless it's a rivalry game, and there's only two that do it, right? Well, there's three. You got Texas and OU that play in the Cotton Bowl, Georgia, Florida, and Army Navy, right? Those are the only three that go to a neutral site and don't play on campus. I can't stand these early games start the season against LSU, Florida State, LSU at a neutral site. But that's whatever. The ACC is garbage. It is
not good.
Not good. So Neil, that is absolutely fair. So let's go back to the scenario then. So Big Ten champ, either one. Florida State, undefeated. Washington or Oregon for that matter. I mean, one will be undefeated, the other one have a loss.
Yeah, one loss.
I think the key is Alabama winning the SEC and Texas winning the Big 12. Notoriously, the narrative always been the SEC is better than the Big 12. I mean, are they this year? I don't know. I mean, maybe, but then how do you justify Texas went to Tuscaloosa and beat them by 10, and you're going to put Alabama in over Texas?
Let me
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Let me ask you this question. Does an undefeated season, and this is for both of y'all, does an undefeated season, and which includes winning your conference, does that guarantee you a spot? Should that guarantee you a spot?
Which conference?
Well, fair question.
Any
there.
of the big five, any of them, the Power Five.
Well, in the totality of if you only have three, you're saying there's only going to be, there's only what, how many, only Georgia, Florida State, Washington, and Michigan, or Ohio State, right? There could be four.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, does that guarantee you a spot?
If there's four and there's four spots, I have no problem with it.
I think if you're undefeated in the Big 12, if you're undefeated current Big 12, if you're undefeated in the SEC, if you're undefeated in the current Pac-12, and you're undefeated in the Big 10, you are going to the ball game.
What if you're undefeated in the ACC?
Okay, Neil, I know what you're going. Can I say something real quick?
I think
so. Neil, if Florida State goes undefeated and Texas has one loss and wins the Big 12, I have no gripes. I mean, I don't think Florida State. I don't think Florida State's played the schedule Texas has. I don't.
Right.
But you know what? Texas should have freaking beat OU then.
I think if it's between an undefeated Texas Big 12 champ and an undefeated Florida State ACC champ, Texas goes.
Yeah, that's different.
So, and that's ultimately my question. I was trying to keep names and schools out of it, but I mean, is Florida State better than Georgia?
I don't know.
I don't know, right? I mean, Alabama.
I would have told you last year. I would have told you last year that Michigan is a hell of a lot better than TCU.
Right?
Guess what?
And TCU got a chance, right?
Well, it's because they didn't. It's because Harbaugh said they didn't scout TCU.
Scout them.
God. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. There may be. I mean, there's always going to be gripes, but
most of them aren't legitimate.
No. Hey, listen, I have a quick thing on those gripes. Maybe if we let a couple more teams in, maybe if we said more than 4 teams can compete for a national championship.
Let me pull that up real quick because I want to end on that.
It's not going to stop the gripes.
Yeah, but the gripes are going to be so much smaller at that 13 and 14.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No.
Okay.
There's more people who are mediocre.
You hear you hear all the time that number 66 team in the bracket.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's such a big deal.
I'm just saying.
Of course not.
No, but we're not talking about 66. We're talking about some 2 to 3 lost teams who are on the, injury this and borderline this.
It's so much easier to say. It's so much easier to say. Look, you had 3 losses. 3 losses.
I'm going to do this based on the AP poll only because the AP poll already come out. The AP poll's already come out, and the CFP comes out tomorrow night. And obviously, OU lost. Okay, so Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and Florida State would have byes this year. Okay? That means Washington would host a game on their campus before Christmas because they're number 5 versus conference rival Oregon State.
Right.
Those are 12 right now.
That would be incredible.
Number 6, Oregon would host a game on campus before Christmas versus number 11, Louisville.
Yep.
Number 7, Texas would host a game in Austin versus Ole Miss. Give me all of that. That would be oh my gosh. Number 8, Alabama would host number 11, Penn State.
So
all on campus.
So
those are campus games. That would be
who are the Aggies hosting? Oh,
Abilene Christian.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't
Senior
get
day.
6. Did we? You have to get 6 wins to do that. Okay, got it.
Furman.
I mean,
Okay, so
FCS.
Neil Kruger, who's 14 and 15 right now?
this is AP poll. Remember, to the CFP poll comes out tomorrow. 14 right now is Tennessee. 15 is Oklahoma State, who just won Bedlam versus OU. Both 7-2.
Fine.
Keep going down that list.
No, I'm fine with that.
16, 7-2 Missouri. 17 is 7-2 Oklahoma. 18 is 6-3 LSU. 19 is 7-2 Kansas. 20 is 8-1 the top group of 5 team Tulane. 21 is James Madison 9-0. By the way, have y'all heard that screw job? We'll get in that in a minute. Number 22 is Notre Dame at 7-3. 23 is Arizona at 6-3. North Carolina 7-2, and 25 is Liberty at 9-0. Have y'all read this James Madison stuff?
I have not.
So they're 9-0. They
Right.
just made the jump from Division II last year, and they are ineligible to win their conference or play in the playoff. There's some NCAA rule. What?
What is that about?
The first year you move up, you're ineligible for stuff? I don't know, dude. NCAA is such a joke. They're 9-0. I mean, come on, play big boy. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Any closing thoughts on all that? Because we could go forever.
Neil, listen. Okay, I agree with you. I mean, there's going to be there will be a little bit of that. I mean, like Oklahoma State, Kansas. Look, Kansas, legit. Like we've got 2 wins,
sure.
and we've got 2 losses, but we've got some great wins here. Like we should be here. We should be there. And don't get me wrong, I'm here for it. I am here for it. And frankly, I would love to be a part of that conversation.
Sure. I just think it changes the gripes. And I think there's going to be more people with a story. 5 and 6, there's not as many stories.
Neil, I agree with you, but I mean, have games the week before Christmas on campus. I mean,
no,
it's incredible.
No, I'm in on 12.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's going to be more chatter at this point, like to get into the 12th seed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
just
awesome.
know this, like that chatter and those moves aren't going to directly affect the entire season, right? Like as opposed to putting 4 teams in, those 5 and 6 currently have just as good of a shot of winning a national championship.
The number 6 team right now is playing better than anybody in the country right now.
I would agree.
Right. So,
yeah, Oregon's scary.
leaving out those 5 and 6s directly affects who the national champion is. Leaving out the 13 and 14,
correct.
Could it? And you know what?
It's not as likely.
If it did, oh man,
yeah,
freaking awesome.
Right.
But what it more so does is it bruises egos of those that like, but they're number 8 and we're better than them, right? And like, but I'm here for that. I'm here for those gripes. You bet, because they don't affect the outcome of the season.
I agree. I think
or as much.
There's just, it's like why did Major League Baseball expand their playoffs? Because it keeps the interest there. It drives
more teams,
it up, right?
More teams, more teams. Yep.
It's just more interest. It's hanging around longer for a seat at the table, a chip in the chair, right? So I think that gives some of these teams that may stub their toe once or twice in a conference game still some hope to come back down the line, which I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, let's end on that note. Again, we will get on Two Gringos, twogringoscheapercopper.com. Order your holiday rubs and seasonals, or just if you want to grill and you're out. It's the Dome 15, DOME 15 for 15% off. Also, I want to thank Victoria Equipment Auction. And as Astros news comes out, we obviously will talk about it on the podcast in the off season. We are going to talk a lot of college football because it's just exciting. It's a good time. And I appreciate everyone that likes and shares. We've got some new subscribers on the YouTube channel, which is awesome. And we'll keep doing this. We'll have a contest for the fan favorite pack out tomorrow of sharing and subscribing. And they will ship that out. They've been awesome at shipping that out as soon as we get it to them. So, boys, with any last thoughts, anything y'all want to say before we end this bad boy?
Oh, man.
All good.
Let's go.
Well, episode 28 is a wrap. And
happy Veterans Day.
Oh, thank you. Happy Veterans Day absolutely to all those that have served, no doubt. Thank someone that served for putting the sacrifice in of serving our armed forces, no doubt. Thank you, Neil. And with that being said, go Stros.
Go Stros.
Go Stros.